I'm chained for Baneri? I have no idea. I don't have Baneri. Yo, that's a shiny! Oh, man! Oh, crap! I did not know. Yeah, they don't sparkle still. Dang it, that's something I wish they changed. Yo, we just got a shiny! Yeah! 27 eggs! What? Yo! That's awesome! Holy crap, that scared the living crap out of me. I don't know about you guys. Oh man, let's go check them out. What is going on, guys? My name is SMK, and you can always call me Steve. Welcome to another shiny hunting Pokemon guide for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So this is pretty much the simplistic version of how to breed for shiny Pokemon. No, this video is not going to go super in-depth with how to breed competitive shiny Pokemon. That's going to be saved for a different tutorial altogether, so I can tell you guys everything you could physically possibly want to know about breeding in general, from every little thing to IV breeding, to passing down a Pokeball, all that good stuff. So this video is just the simple mechanics of how you put two Pokemon together to breed and make a shiny Pokemon offspring. Number 1, picking the Pokemon you want to be shiny. So obviously the first thing you guys need to do is obviously pick a Pokemon you want to have shiny, and then find out what parent Pokemon you need to actually breed that shiny. So for today's example, I have two Pidgeots. I have a male and a female. Typical breeding stuff, you put a male and a female together, they make an egg, and then you just hatch the egg, boom, you have a Pokemon. But for Masuda method, how you actually breed for a shiny is I have a male Pidgeot, and he's from North America. My native region's North America, hence there's no label next to the level. Now for the female Pidgeot, it's a Korean Pidgeot. As you can see, right next to the level, it says KOR, which means this is not a Pidgeot from my region. So basically, that's it. That's all you need to make sure when it comes to the requirements of your Pokemon when it comes to breeding. Of course, your Pokemon have to be in the same egg group to actually breed together. So double check in the description for the list of egg groups you can check out on Bulbapedia. Of course, guys, when it comes to figuring out, like, will my Pokemon breed together? Make sure they're in the same egg group and their Pokemon will be able to breed together. Of course, if you don't want to use the same type of Pokemon, like a male and a female, I could always use a Pidgeot with a Ditto, because Ditto is like the universal Pokemon to breed with if you don't have the opposite gender or whatever. So, of course, guys, that's all you need to do to make sure your Pokemon are ready to go when it comes for breeding. Make sure they're in the same egg group, or just, of course, just use a Ditto. But pretty much have a Pokemon that's from your region, and then have a Pokemon that is not from your region. So again, male Pidgeot, Korean Pidgeot. They breed together, make a shiny Pokemon. So you may be wondering, SFK, how do we get like a foreign Pokemon? Well, there's, two ways to go about it. Obviously, the more precise one is obviously using the GTS. And yes, I know the GTS can be kind of, sometimes. But all you need to do is pretty much, have a good bargaining chip. Obviously, if you have any kind of random shiny Pokemon you don't want to keep around anymore, you want something in return, obviously shiny Pokemon are great to use. You can always use like EVs, because people always want EVs, especially if it's a female EV. People love getting those. And if you have any kind of like extra starter Pokemon you're not using, you should definitely use those as bargaining chips. So all you need to do is obviously deposit the Pokemon in the GTS, and then demand the Pokemon in return is the one you actually want to use for your breeding purposes. Even though you may successfully, use the GTS and get the Pokemon back in return that you want, the problem is it may not always be a foreign Pokemon. So, definitely try at different times during the day, see if you get like different results. But typically it shouldn't take too long, but just know sometimes it could take a while to get the actual Pokemon you want to have in return, and of course be a foreign nature, and of course maybe be the right gender. But of course you can ask for the certain gender. So obviously the big thing here is just, rinse and repeat until you get the foreign Pokemon of the right gender that you're missing for your shiny breeding. And another method you guys can try out is whenever you want is, of course, use Wonder Trades. Yeah, it's not like really precise, but whenever you use Wonder Trades, obviously you're trading with everyone in the whole world. So it's kind of like you never really know what you're going to get until you do it. So, just sit down one day and just try doing a bunch of Wonder Trades and see what you get in return. Obviously, if it does have like a foreign label next to the Pokemon's name and the level, you pretty much have yourselves a good Pokemon for potential shiny breeding in the future. Obviously, if it's not, if it's good or not, that's up to you when it comes to, picking the Pokemon you want to use for breeding. But of course, guys, if you do not know, typically on the weekends when it comes to my live streams on twitch.tv/smkgaming05, I always do a box or two of Japanese 6IV Dittos. So if you ever need a Japanese 6IV Ditto, I Wonder Trade them pretty much all the time on the weekends. So definitely come to a live stream and possibly grab yourselves a 6IV Japanese Ditto when I'm Wonder Trading them away on the weekends. Number 2, pick a daycare. So if you don't know, in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Sapphire, there's 2 different daycares at your disposal for breeding for your Pokemon. Obviously, the first one you're ever going to encounter is on Route 117, which is west of Mauville City, or the post-game area, which is the Battle Resort. And the Battle Resort is like pretty much your go-to because of reasons I'll explain later in this video. But just know, guys, there's 2 different daycares to pick from when it comes to breeding for your Pokemon. Number 3, deposit your Pokemon and start breeding. So obviously, guys, double check and make sure the Pokemon you are depositing in the daycare are the correct Pokemon. And of course, they are both, one Pokemon is from your region and the other one is not from your region. It doesn't matter what the other region is. It could be, I mean, this could have been like a Japanese Pidgeot, and it would still work just the same. You know, it doesn't matter what region you typically have. Like, they all work the same. So just, of course, make sure you're putting the right Pokemon in the daycare. One Pokemon from your region and the other Pokemon is not from your region, and you're good to go to start your breeding. Number 4, what are my shiny odds? So obviously, guys, the biggest question you're probably wondering is like, SMK, like, you know, what are my shiny odds? Well, when it comes to shiny Pokemon, guys, you know, with Masuda method, typically you find a shiny Pokemon roughly about like 1 every 1,000. Is that going to happen every time? No. But roughly, that's like what the odds are around. It's like once you get around like that 1,000 plus range, like that's when you typically will normally find a shiny when it comes to Masuda method. Obviously, you could get a shiny really quick, or it could take you even over 1,000, or maybe like that 2,000 to 3,000 plus range. Like, you never really know because every shiny hunt is different. Of course, if you want to increase the odds or make it happen more often of when you get shiny Pokemon from breeding via Masuda method, if you have the shiny charm in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that increases your odds of typically finding a shiny Pokemon 1 out of 512. So, of course, guys, shiny charm are not, you know, breeding is a very long process, regardless of if you have like one of the easiest Pokemon to breed, or if it's like a dragon type Pokemon that just takes forever to, you know, hatch. You know what I'm saying? It's just, when it comes to breeding, you have to be in this for the long run because it's gonna take you a while, and you never really know how long it will take. But sometimes you get, you know, nice surprises. Sometimes you do like 10 eggs and get a shiny, or you do like a couple hundred and get a shiny. Or that one occasion where you want like something really simple and it's like a Caterpie and it takes you like 3,000 eggs or so. You never really know when it comes to getting a shiny Pokemon. But I'm just going to tell you guys, when it comes to breeding, this is the one shiny hunting method you just have to be committed to. And you have to just do your best when it comes to breeding for a shiny Pokemon. And you just have to just keep yourself on the right track and just breed as many eggs as possible. And then, of course, hatch them as fast as possible to get yourself the shiny you really want. But of course, guys, when it comes to all the shiny odds and stuff like that, there are also a couple things you can do to speed up this process, and we're going to talk about them right meow. Tip number 1, have the oval charm. You do not need to have the oval charm in your game to make this a useful tip, but it's a fantastic tip if you're trying to breed as many eggs as possible when it comes to just, you know, getting the shiny you want. So, of course, the oval charm is a key item. You obtain it by just kind of like completing your Ho Index. But it's not actually completing your Ho Index, it's basically just seeing all the Pokemon in the Hoenn region. So once you have seen all the Pokemon, you can go to Professor Birch, talk to him, and he'll give you an oval charm, which basically helps you produce eggs quicker in a sense. So basically what happens is when you take a certain amount of steps, you know, your Pokemon are supposed to produce an egg. Well, what an oval charm does, it pretty much guarantees the fact of, oh, you took so many steps, now you're more likely to have an egg versus not getting one. Because if you've you know, done breeding it any time before, sometimes you take enough steps and you're like, yo, they didn't produce an egg. When you have the oval charm, you're more likely to have an egg always be produced every time you do take the certain amount of steps. So pretty much having the oval charm is not required, but it definitely helps when it comes to obtaining eggs a bit quicker from the daycare. Number 2, and one of the best tips I can give you guys when it comes to making this whole process so much faster, is have a Pokemon with the ability Magma Armor or Flame Body at the front of your party before you hatch your eggs. So of course, guys, when it comes to, I just got my first 5 eggs. I want to start hatching my eggs, but wait, I want to make this happen a little bit quicker. I want to continuously make all this breeding just a little bit faster. Well, obviously when it comes to breeding, you have to take enough steps before your Pokemon and eggs will hatch. Well, the only way to make that kind of go a little bit quicker is you have to have a Pokemon with the ability Magma Armor or Flame Body at the front of your party. By having a Pokemon with these abilities at the front of your party, basically it makes it so that you hatch eggs faster. Of course, these abilities do not stack, so only have one Pokemon with the ability Magma Armor or Flame Body at the front of your party. So just have one Pokemon with one of those abilities ready to go at the front of your party, and then of course then to start to hatch your eggs that you're trying to hatch, of course, so you can see if you got your shiny Pokemon. If you're looking for the full list of Pokemon that have these abilities, Magma Armor or Flame Body, definitely make sure you check out the description below. Or, of course, you can always go to the Fiery Path in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and you can always find Slugma via random encounters, or you can, Dexnav for him, or you can, get the 5% Horde for him. But typically, that's where you're going to find a Slugma, is that Fiery Path, and of course, one of both of his abilities, his like normal abilities, you could say, are pretty much Magma Armor or Flame Body. His hidden ability is Weak Armor, but pretty much if you just randomly find a Slugma, he's most likely going to have a Magma Armor ability or a Flame Body ability, and that's the ability you want to get your breeding process started, so it makes it a lot faster when it comes to hatching the Pokemon eggs you've just received from the daycare. Tip number 3. Use hatching O-powers. You do not have to use hatching powers to make this process, any faster, but if you are able to actually use a hatching O-power on yourself, if you have the hatching O-power, or if your friends over Wi-Fi can send you hatching powers, it makes the whole process of hatching a Pokemon egg a lot faster. So, of course, hatching powers, of course, they do stack with Magma Armor and Flame Body. So, I mean, if you can, of course, have a Pokemon with Magma Armor and Flame Body at the front of your party, and then use a hatching power, you're going to hatch your Pokemon eggs a lot faster. Of course, hatching powers are limited for the amount of time that you're able to use the hatching powers for, of course, but the fact of if you have hatching out powers and your friends can send you hatching out powers from time to time, it'll just make the whole process of hatching the Pokemon eggs you receive from the daycare to hatch a lot faster, so you'll see if you have that shiny or not. And the last and final tip I can give you guys is more like a personal tip that I use when it comes to breeding for my Pokemon, or just breeding for the shinies in general, is when it comes to Pokemon breeding, guys, you have to keep yourself focused. And if you're like me and you can't focus after like so many eggs, you're just like, I'm just breeding and hatching, like this is getting redundant, and I'm just like, I'm done with it, you know what I mean? All you need to do, and it's something like you should try out sometime, turn on the TV, watch like your favorite TV show, or, like go to Netflix, watch a YouTube video, like watch a live stream, or just listen to music. Anything you can do to possibly keep your focus on just breeding and then hatching, breeding and then hatching. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, shiny hunting via Masuda method, even if you have a shiny charm, and just in general, it's a grind. It's going to take you a lot longer than other methods sometimes. Typically it does. And you just need to do stuff that's going to help you keep focused, and or just so you're not thinking about it as much. Granted, you're still going to be breeding and hatching, but if your focus is not solely on playing the game, it's not going to be as bad of an experience for yourself. That's, of course, just like my own personal tip for you guys. Hopefully you guys just kind of, just take that into consideration when it comes to, all your breeding and shiny breeding stuff in the future. But of course, guys, just a couple things I want to wrap up here is, of course, when it comes to breeding, again, make sure to do Masuda method correctly. Is you use a Pokemon that's native to your region, and then use a Pokemon that is not from your region. That is the correct way to do Masuda method. I cannot repeat that anymore for you guys, so just please do it correctly so you do not waste your time breeding. And then, of course, the last thing here, guys, is when it comes to breeding shiny Pokemon, when you have, like, say, for example, both my Pidgeots, say they were both shiny, does that increase the odds of my offspring being shiny? The answer is no. That is not a thing. If anyone tells you that having shiny parents make it go faster, they're wrong. Do not listen to them. It all comes down to Masuda method has like basically a fixed rate in a sense, because after around 1,000 or 1 out of 1,000, that's typically when you find a shiny, but not all the time. Of course, the only way that'll make that happen a bit faster is, of course, if you have a shiny charm and you're doing Masuda method when it comes for breeding. That's another way to make it happen about a bit faster, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the shiny odds. But that's it. Like, having shiny Pokemon parents do not make the process any faster. Like, Masuda method already gives you that increase of probably hatching a shiny, and then you add a shiny charm on top of Masuda method, and that's another way that it makes it a little faster for you guys. But that's it. So that's everything you guys need to know when it comes to breeding for a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Hopefully this guide has helped you guys when it comes to just learning the concepts of just breeding a shiny Pokemon. Obviously, like I said at the beginning of this video, this tutorial is not learning how to make a competitive shiny Pokemon or just anything, like very advanced breeding. This tutorial was just made just so you guys know the simple you know, mechanics when it comes to breeding a shiny Pokemon correctly. So hopefully this has helped you guys so much, and of course, you know, definitely leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Definitely let me know what kind of shiny Pokemon you're trying to breed. I'd love to know what you're trying to go for. Of course, you know, flick up the like button if you did enjoy the video, if the tutorial did help you out. I'd love to know, of course. And if you're brand new to the channel, guys, please subscribe because I post new videos on the daily. And that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. My name's SMK. You can always call me Steven. I will see you guys next time. And good luck with your shiny hunting. Bye-bye.